morning, class. Now we will start with one more topic. If I want to build an Android application, and we have gone through this Android application framework, we have used this Android Studio. I want to do the same thing, but this time we will be developing our application for Apple devices. That is our last module. So currently iOS is previously it was actually known as iPhone OS, but later on it was named as this iOS, which is generally developed and used by Apple. So whenever you see, there will be this iOS SDK, and currently we are using that is iOS 6.0. The current iOS version is around 13 if I'm not wrong, but that is something regarding your devices. But when I talk about SDK, we have this 6.0 version. If I want to prepare applications for Apple devices, then we have several options. Either I can go and use this Xcode. Now Xcode is a kind of ID that is provided by Apple itself. So we can use this Xcode and we can build our applications using different kind of languages like Swift, or we can use Objective-C. And the same way, what we can do is we can go and we can use this Xamarin. So the Xamarin is something provided by this Microsoft. So when I go and use this Xamarin, this is something specially designed for .NET developers. So if you are good with C# or F# kind of languages, you can build native iOS applications. So when I go for the Xamarin, the freedom, the kind of a benefit that I will be getting is I will be able to prepare cross-platform applications. So using the Xamarin, I can have an applications which can work in Android as well as that particular application can work with Android as well. Android and iOS both. So we will go for a short demo of this. When I go for this iOS, there are several features that it provides. Map, there will be the Siri, then social media facilities, then multi-touch, gesture control, accelerometer, GPS, camera, Safari. It has different kind of APIs. So you may observe that these are the different kind of features which iOS does have. Now these are the same kind of features we have seen into our this Android. So majority of the mobile operating system that you observe, they will be providing the same kind of features. There will be some proprietary versions which differs, like iOS provides Siri and Google provides this Hello Google. Now if I want to build an application over here, I have to register myself as an Apple developer. So Apple ID is necessary for this. So the moment I have this Apple ID, I will be able to have access to development tools. Then Apple is generally going through WWDC, Worldwide Developer Conference. So I'll be having access to that, and I can join iOS developer program team if I have got invited. Generally, Apple ID is something that this is free, which we can have it. But later on, there will be Apple Store where I will be publishing my application. So I have to actually pay $99 over there. So as I said that we have two options. Either I can go and have Xcode installation. So I can prepare my software for Mac OS, means that will be for desktop, then iOS, iPad OS, Watch OS, TV OS. So Xcode provides each and every kind of facility to prepare your application. On the other hand, Xamarin iOS is something which will be giving you iOS SDK. So if you are good with C# or F#, you can build it. Let's go for a small demo so we will be able to understand few things. I'll go and I'll start here a new project in my Xcode. I say that I require a single view app. Go to next and app, and this is 6 semester, so I'll say app 6, organization name and something. Now here you can choose Swift or you can choose Objective-C. I'll be stick to this Objective-C because within your syllabus they haven't specified anything in your syllabus, but I consider Objective-C is something which will be quite handy to you. The reason Objective-C, the syntax will be quite similar to your normal C program that you understood, so I'll stick to this Objective-C. When I choose this, the by default user interface will be storyboard, but if I go to the Swift, then apart from the storyboard there is Swift UI. But we'll switch to this, and now I say next. Now over the desktop, I'll go and I'll create a new repository. you can consider this Xcode, which is similar to your, this what I say, Android Studio. Here, you may observe that this is the working area. This is the resource panel. You will get everything. Here, you will get your attribute panel. If I go and see this assets, now into this assets, you may observe app icon. Now, the moment I go and click on this app icon, you say several kind of options that if this application is being used in iPad, or if I'm having this iPhone in 7 to 13, or if I'm talking about iPad Pro. So it says that 160 by 160, here it says 40 by 40. So different kind of resolution icon. So what you have to do is you just have to click over here and you have to upload a icon with different resolution. So this application will work in different kind of devices, and you will be getting that kind of. So you can have several kind of changes here. Now our focus will be over this ViewController.h, and second is ViewController.m. ViewController.h is nothing but just a blueprint of your application, and ViewController.m is the file where you will be making your actual code. So here in this ViewController.h, you just specify the functions. You just have the prototype, but the implementation will be in this ViewController.m. And this is main storyboard. So when you go for this main storyboard, you may observe that in your Android Studio, you are having an XML file. Now that XML file will be having your view portion. Generally, your code is divided into view and into a controller. So .java file will be your, what I say, controller. The same way here, when I say main storyboard, you may observe that here you are having your screen. This is the iPhone, okay? So this main storyboard is your view, and the moment I go and have this ViewController.h, this is my controller. So if I go to this main storyboard and if I open it again and I just let me reduce the size, and if I go and click here, you may observe that I'm getting the XML version something. Then this is a document and several stuff has been written over here. If I click on this, I'll be getting the view section. I'll be getting the iPhone over here. So this is what your view portion. So you design your application over here. Okay. Now we will try to get a demo of this. Currently in this app 6, you are having iPhone 11 Pro Max. This is actually iPhone 11 Pro Max. If I go and say view as, you may observe there are different kind of devices and their interface style, their orientation, that if I require in landscape or portrait mode, or what kind of orientation is needed, landscape or something like that, we can specify here. Okay. Now if I click on this, I will get like this. Okay. This particular thing, it will hide this, and if I click on this, it will hide this. So you will be having full control over this, that what you want to do. Later on in this Xcode, if I click here, I'll be getting this many things. So I have to go and add my objects. So in Android, you have understood these are your what I say, view. Here it is known as objects. So I'll simply say BMI calculator like this, and the moment you go and drag them, you will be getting those grid lines which will specify that whether it is correct or what. So I'll have one more height like this. I'll go and say one more label, that will be weight of the user. I'll go and I'll say that I require one text field, one more text field. I require a button, and lastly I require one more label. Okay, now this label, we specify your BMI is. Okay, now I'll go to I'll first go and I'll place something like this. Now I'll go. You just observe that the moment I drag or I resize, it giving me those grids through which I will be able to understand that where should I place it. Now I'll make this button like show BMI, and now I'll place this button like this. This is your, so if I drag it downwards, now it is aligned to the text box bottom. If I shift in upward, it will be aligned to the top, but I'll be making to the bottom, or okay, let's make not into center, but it to the bottom. Now if I shift, okay, now it is aligned with this show BMI. Okay, now it is also aligned, and this is the your BMI. So I'll again go and I'll make it look over here. Now we are done. If I want to see the output, you may observe that here the simulator has already chosen iPhone 11. I'll simply go, and if I say run, okay, it says that building app 6 something something, building 23 out of 64 tasks, build succeeded. Okay, we have 58 participants today. And now you may observe that here you have your iPhone 11 Pro Max, and it is being started. So just wait for a while, and we will see. Over here within Xcode to the top, just observe this cursor, launching app 6. So actually within your emulator of Android Studio, you might have observed that it will be, having this iPhone, which sorry, Android device, which will be started, then it will be launching activity. So here we have our this particular application. Our iPhone has been started, and now it is running this app 6. So within our this application, what we have did is, if I just move this a little bit, okay, so it will be having this text field and some labels. This is the first time, so it will be taking a little bit of time. Okay, now here we have it. So as per, so you may observe this. This is what you see, what you get. So whatever I have coded, now the same kind of stuff I am getting over here. Okay, now as of now, I'll go back to my Xcode. I'll stop this instance. So that application is over now, but I will not close this emulator. I'll just keep it aside. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation. So I have given you the demo of interface builder. Now this is interface builder, where you will be having a set of tools which you can have, and you are just supposed to drag and drop, and you will be able to prepare your UI. And that is your object library, this one. The moment you go and you say this plus sign, this is what your object library. So you will be having different kind of things. If you want to have a visual effect, if you want to have a map kit, if you want to have some scene kit, if you want to have switch, slider, so many things. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can use them. Now for your own reference, this presentation is something that I will be giving you. Now within this, there will be interface and implementation. So this is something like we have already discussed, that myclass.h. This is what? This is just an interface of yours. So you will be preparing your, you will be giving the prototype of your class into that, and their definition will be into this myclass.m. So whenever I want to have a string, it will be like ns string. If I want to have float, it will be cg float, ns integer, and the bool. These are the important data types that we do have in our Objective-C. Let us keep this for a while. Okay, so this is your go along activity, that how you can create something. So this is something that we already prepared. Yes, that choose the language, go to the storyboard, choose the app icons, and then build it. Okay. Okay, and now next thing is what? Okay, we just forgot this one. Let me show you this again. I will run this application. Okay, Okay, now if I go, mm, okay, let me take a pause over here. Okay, if I go and select this both, okay, if I select both of this text area, and now when you observe that here you are having this attribute panel, now it specifies so many things. Now here you may observe that what kind of keyboard you require. So if I say keyboard type, so you have, I require a font pad, I require a number pad, I require this web search. So you can specify that I require numbers and punctuation. Okay, now next thing is, okay, next I can specify that I'll require a lighter or the dark one. You can specify anything, and then later on what will happen that when someone is clicking on this text box, and if you are getting a keyboard, then it will not have alphabet. Okay, generally your keyboard will be having alphabets, and then we click on this numpad and there is a numpad which is available. But here I have specified keyboard type, numbers and punctuation. So what will happen, the moment I click on this one, the keyboard which will be coming from the bottom, and it will be always having numbers and some punctuation. Why I require punctuation? Because I want to go for those floating point as well. Okay, we will see that particular demo when we run this application again. Now after doing this, now this is what just a view that we have prepared, but I have to go and make this application work. So I have to write down some code now. So what we will do, when I say this main storyboard, it is only, the storyboard is what, this is only in view portion. So now when I go and click over this, just closely observe this particular lines. When I go and I click on this assistant, you may observe that I am having something extra. I click on this one, so I'll be getting a better area. Now this is my iPhone, and here I am having this ViewController.m, but I actually don't require m file. Here I'll go and I say ViewController.h. So when I do this, it is quite clear to me that on this left panel I am having my view, and to the right hand side here I am having my ViewController.h, a prototype file. Now I select this text field, I right click on this, and when I drag, it says that what I have, connection is outlet. Okay, now I have to give it a name. Now that is the text box which we will be having to take an input of height. So I say height input, text field strong. Okay, no issue, simply say connect. Now you understand that it is having it is saying that we are having a text field and its name is height input. Okay, I'll do the same thing. I'll have this particular, I'll again drag it over here, and this is for my weight input. Okay, now this is my button. Now observe here, the moment I click on this show BMI button, I want to extract height and weight values, and then I want to do something. So I'll click on this button, right click, drag to this view controller, and over here, this is not an outlet, this is my action. Action means over this button, if I click, I want to do something. So I can say anything. I am saying calculate. I'm just giving a name, okay? And then I say connect. So this will be your calculate method, and this is your text field. This is your label. I'll drag it again. I'll say answer, and then I'll say connect. So actually, these two are the properties which will be for your text field, for which you have given text height input and weight input. And the last one is the property which is for your UI label. Why I have taken? Because I want to display that your BMI answer is this. Okay, and this is not a kind of a property, this is an action. Okay, so after doing this, now I'll go to this ViewController.am. Okay, after doing this, ViewController.h, you may observe that this is something over. Now I have removed my assistant. I'm directly going to this ViewController.m, and in this ViewController they are importing that .h file. So whatever you have defined into your .h, so what we have defined, we are having our two text field, we are having one button, and we are having this answer. So I'll go to this m file, and now whatever we have defined over there, now it is our task. Now we have to go ahead and we have to code it. So this, okay, over here you may observe that this is IB action calculate sender. Now this is what the moment from your storyboard. Okay, so the moment you click on this show BMI in this ViewController.m, this calculate, this curly braces, this is actually the set of tasks. So all the set of tasks that you are having, they will get executed. Okay, so I'll go to this ViewController.m, and into this .m file, now I'll start writing. Okay, I just want to see that whether it is working correctly or not. So I'll go and say nslog. You may observe that syntax is pretty simple. nslog parenthesis and something. Now into that I want to go ahead and I want to have a log. I want to print something. So I'll say question mark quotations. I'm having a string. I say button press. Okay, I'm just having this. Now I'll click on this from this. So this is my output window. Now I'll go and I'll run this. So when you do this, you are having this simulator back, and in your simulator, that activity app number 6, it will get launched. Just observe the moment I click on this, from the bottom this particular thing has been popped up. Now if I click on this button show BMI here, 2020 something app 6, this is your timestamp, that at which moment 11 o'clock 6 minutes and 23 seconds you have generated a log button press. So whatever you have written into this, now that is coming because of that. Okay, so if I go and press it again, you may observe that there is one more log which has been generated. So actually this is your on click this is your click listener kind of thing that you understood in your what I say Android Studio. Now actually I don't want to do any kind of stuff. I'll say float height. I want to have input from those text field. So how to do that? So float height, a float variable, and into this again a curly braces, and I say self dot height input. Okay, why I have written self? Because you may observe that ViewController.h, that particular height input and weight input and the answer, this is something which is available into your ViewController, that is already imported into your ViewController.m. So I say self dot height input, and actually these are your text fields, so you will be getting text. But situation is what, that whatever you are taking over here, it has to be float value. Why? Because whatever you are getting, that is text, and later on it will be stored into a float variable height. The same way I'll go and I say float weight equals to, again big brackets, into big bracket, first of all go and take the text. So I say self dot weight input, which will be my text, and after big bracket secondary will be about so it is a kind of a thing that I'm taking input height input, which is a text from the self, means from this particular file on itself, and it will be considered as a float value which will be stored over here. So height and weight. Now we are having two input. Now next thing is what, I'll go and I'll say that float BMI equals to like this. So the moment I say float BMI, it is again a variable, but to calculate your BMI, what you generally do, you say weight divides by height square. Okay, now the moment I say BMI equals to weight divides by height square, I consider that this will be pretty simple to have it. So now if I want to store this particular value somewhere, so this is the text field, sorry, my mistake, this is your label, your BMI is something. So I want to display my that calculated floating value BMI to here. So if I want to take input from this text box, just observe class. If I want to take input from this height, so this is the my text field. So we specify self dot height input text and then right to left assignment. Self dot weight input. So I'm talking about this text field and then right to left assignment. And at the same time, we are having this float value. So we specify this text will be converted into float value. But this time in your float variable BMI, whatever you have calculated, now you are supposed to store that particular thing in this text field. Okay, in this your BMI, this text. So if I simply go and say self dot answer, okay, self answer dot text. So I'm saying a kind of element object that I'm having whose name is answer. I want to set a text into that. So if I say self answer dot text, and if I write down like this BMI, I consider that my work is over. But at the same time, it says that you are doing a mistake, assigning a string nullable from incompatible type float. The reason BMI is a float variable. And here you are trying to assign, because what will happen? This is a string, a text. Self.answer.text is not a float. Okay. So we are supposed to go and we have to first of all create a string. So I say a string star answer. This is the syntax. So n string star answer, I'm preparing one more string variable star answer, and into this big bracket I go and I'll say n string and string with format, and we specify BMI. But here this is the second parameter. First parameter is I have to specify the format. So actually I haven't specified any format. So I'll go, I say @ quotations modulo f. So after doing this, I'll go here and I say ANS. Okay, now that particular error has been gone. Now closely observe NS string star answer. So actually answer is what? It's a string variable that you are preparing. And here you say that I require this ANS is what? It's a new string variable that we are preparing. And what kind of format we require? So we say string with format @ modulo f. So in your C, many of the times you observe that modulo C, modulo F, and something. So from this BMI, you want to convert. BMI is a floating variable which you want to convert into a string format. So this is the kind of a syntax for that. You specify n string with format. So your format is what? Modulo F. I can go ahead and I can specify some other format as well. Later on, we specify BMI. So we are getting the answer and into this ANS. So now if I say self.answer, so actually what will happen? This is the label that we are talking about. So self.answer. So we are talking about this dot text. So we are trying to fill something into that and it will be right to left assignment. So this ANS is now a string. Previously, if I try BMI, it will be giving me an error because BMI is float and self answer is a text. So I'll go and run this again. So this instant, it says build successfully. Okay. Now, what is expected here? That we will be giving some height and input here, and we will be able to do something. So if I say height 1.65 meter and the weight of the user is 68, the moment I say show BMI, you may observe that we are getting 24.97. That is the BMI of the person. If I say the person is having 1.8 meter of height and weight is 60 only, then your BMI is 18, which means you are underweighted. Okay, so this is the BMI of the person. So here, what we have did, let me quickly recall those concepts. I just close this one. Even I close this one. We have started this activity and we have gone for this main storyboard. You may observe within this, you are having this kind of icons. So like in your API, generally you are having a droid icon. Whenever you prepare an Android application, you will be having the droid icon. The reason in this assets, we haven't provided any icon. This is the reason that it is showing us like this. Okay. Now, if I go to this main storyboard, here you have prepared this layout, and this is coming from this plus icon. So the moment you click on this plus icon, you will be getting this object. So you will be having different kind of segmented control like pagination, the text field, the slider, the switch, what kind of stuff you require. So you just specify your list of object, and then later on you have to connect it to your view controller diagram. Now situation is what you may have seen that in your Android Studio you prepare your XML file here. Okay, if I go and click here, I observe that yes, now this is something XML document that has been prepared by default. But if I click on this one, I'll be getting this. So what we did is over here ViewController.m, it let me convert to .h file. So from this storyboard, we click on this, we right click. Okay, we right click and then we drag over here. So this many properties has been prepared. So in your ViewController.h, you have just specified your text field, you have specified your buttons, and that's it. So generally in your Android Studio, you prepare those buttons in your .xml file in your view, and then in your Java file, you have to do it manually. You have to type it. But the facility in Xcode is what you just have to drag them into your ViewController.h, and by default it will be prepared. Now the same thing happens with your button. Show BMI, I click on this one, and the moment I drag it to this ViewController.h, the button action has been prepared. So the moment I go to this ViewController.m, you may observe that calculate is the method that has been prepared by default, and whatever we write down in this, it will work. So you have to just go through this presentation and you will be getting all sort of screenshot along with some annotations, which will be giving you the control that what you should write and where you should write. So what will happen, class, if you are aware with our applications that we have prepared in Android, now we are having the same kind of interface over here. We just have to understand few things which is different. So you just have to go through and observe this, that what are the important data types in Objective-C. Majority of the task, majority of the syntax will be similar to your normal C. There will be a few extra things which will be coming over here. So you just have to go through this and you will be able to prepare it.